Welcome to Unit 4 of EDSE 614. Time flies. Can't believe we've made it here already, and we're getting a really strong start in the course. Nice work sharing insight and thoughts on the discussion and in all of these areas as we move forward. Please let me know if you have any questions on the feedback you received for your most recent assignment submissions. Looking forward to reviewing everything that's been coming in from Unit 3. So our major focus this week in Unit 4, there's a lot of information as always, but the main idea that I really want to drive home is the idea of operationally defining a target behavior. We'll talk more about that, but logistics first. You can see the assigned rating here, and this again will all be on the course schedule. We have a Unit 4 activity discussion, same deadlines as we have had before, same requirements and expectations. We have a quiz. There's only one question in it, and I will be giving some information on that here in a few. And then you'll be beginning journal number 2. So we're moving forward now to questions regarding our work in the next couple of units. We can take a look at that prompt. The first thing you'll see here in Unit 4 is there is a video lecture, credit to Dr. Francie Murray. She's here at UNC as well. She's created this video on the basics of FBA, and it's a stellar video, so I wanted to include it. She provides some great ideas and examples, so we've got that as a resource here. Additionally, you'll see a video with an example of ABC data collection, an example completed collection sheet for data in an ABC observation, and then there's a transcript here for this video as well. So you'll be taking a look at those, and this note here is important. Keep this ABC form and all the others provided in your units in mind. You might want to print out ones that are most interesting to you and hang on to them. We've not started any formal data collection yet for the large project. It's very important that we are focused on identifying and defining our target behavior first, and that's that behavior of concern. And once we can really get that clarified, we'll be able to effectively and efficiently move forward with data collection. I will make a note as we're discussing data collection. Pull up the rubric for our FBA BIP assignment. Please keep in mind that we're expected to do several weeks of data collection. You need multiple points of data, and you can check out the rubric for all of the specifics here. And again, we'll need several weeks of intervention data. You can go over the numbers provided here in the rubric, but if you want full credit, you want to review all of these are the minimum expectations for full credit for the data. So what we need to start doing, even though it's only the beginning of the semester, is looking thoroughly through our calendars. We need to think about when we may be absent, when a student may be absent if we have any advance notice of that. We need to think about spring breaks. We need to think about standardized testing if that's a variable for you in your setting, and all of the things that might affect our ability to really collect this data with fidelity. And we need to get some dates on the calendar and really block that out and make sure that you know when you'll be doing that. So even if it's just a rough draft schedule and it's always subject to change, I would encourage you to start thinking about that now, because the absolute worst thing that can happen with this project is to push it off and wait until later in the semester and then realize that you don't really have time to collect the kind of data with fidelity that you were looking for or to implement anything, and that your baseline is not really clear because you've not been able to set aside that time, and then that it weakens your whole submission. And not only is that harmful to the evaluation in the rubric as a score, but it's also harmful to your learning process. You really want to make sure that you make the most of the assignment and set the time aside. Plan ahead to make this work. So our focus for this week, we should have had all the parent-guardian consents squared away by now. Please let me know if you have a concern about that. But we're now really trying to figure out what that target behavior will be and clearly define it. Do keep in mind as well, there is that 6-week check-in. Excuse me, it's not the 6-week check-in, it's the Unit 6 check-in is what I mean to say. It's due in Unit 6. Not a 6-week check-in, but it is due at Unit 6 at the end, and that is called the progress check for the FBA BIP assignment. We've looked over this before, but you can access it under assignments. Remember, this is what you'll need by the end of Unit 6. So you will have started to collect your data. You may not have 3 full weeks yet by this time, but you'll need to show what you have, and you want to start sooner rather than later. And you've got example provided below and your target behavior. So please just keep reviewing that. Keep it in mind. These are very important to make sure that we're all on track. And then here in Unit 4, more information on FBA you can review. That's just some research. And this is step 1. Now that we've got the consent all squared away, we want to clearly identify and define the target and replacement behaviors. And right now, we're particularly looking for the target behavior, operational definition of that. So we'll talk about what operational definition really means, but a couple words of caution. One of the easy mistakes to make when you're looking for a target behavior, and a target is what we mean by that is the problem behavior, the behavior of concern, the behavior that we're targeting for intervention, looking for a replacement behavior. It can be easy to identify more than one. So for instance, we might even say, oh, the child has a tantrum. And the word tantrum, we might think, oh, that's the behavior. But there are really many different things that a tantrum can encompass, and a tantrum might look different from child to child. So we need to specify, is it kicking and hitting, such as physical aggression during escalation? Is that the target behavior? Is it screaming, profanity? Is that the target behavior? All of these might be lumped into one category of tantrum, but are they separate behaviors? We really need to think about that. So don't just use a blanket statement, but instead we're going to have to very specifically identify and define. So there are some great examples here, some pretty simple ones. Here are some examples of poorly defined problem behaviors. The student is too active. Another one that I often see is the student doesn't sit down, for instance. And I'm like, well, the behavior is not what the student isn't doing. The behavior is what the student is doing. So keep clear on that. For instance, if the student's not sitting down, what is she doing? What is he doing? The student may be lying on the floor. The student may be milling around. The student may be jumping. The student may be exiting the door of the classroom. Any of those things could be related to the idea of not sitting down. So never state what the student is not doing, but instead what the student is doing. What is the target behavior? And then in that example, the replacement behavior would be the student will stay in the seat. This is a little bit more of an in-depth document here. 9 operational definitions. Please do not take your operational definition from this document or even paraphrase from this document. These are main ideas and examples, but it's very important that you come up with your own. So this is provided to you as a resource, but really, really think about and watch the student and create an operational definition that truly is your own. And with that being said, please do review this. There's a couple different pages, but we'll just take a look at the top. For instance, as we mentioned, tantrums. Here it says the responsibility of the assessor, that's you, to determine the appropriate operational definitions. So as I said, please do come up with your own ideas and words. But crying, we may think that we all know what crying means. Here is an operational definition of crying. And what this means is that if somebody had never been in the classroom or in the school or worked with the student or even worked with children at all before, that person would be able to read, this is part of the idea of the stranger test, your operational definition and know exactly what signs to look for so that that person would be able to step into a classroom with your student and you would not even be there. And that person could say, yes, the student is demonstrating the target behavior. So you can see here, what is crying? What is screaming? What is the behavior of lying on the floor? We think lying on the floor is The definition, well, the student is screaming. Okay, but what if the student is out at recess playing tag and everybody's screaming? Is that the behavior of concern? Indeed not. That would actually be socially appropriate, although perhaps hard on the ears. So the operational definition would be that screaming is the vocalization with the volume above the normal level of conversation or the level within the setting that is deemed appropriate or that peers are doing for any period of time. So really think about that. And again, here is tantrum. If you're going to use, which for this project, we really just want to define one. But if a more advanced behavior plan or something more complex was going to use a blanket statement, kind of a word like this, you would have to break it down into a definition. All of these behaviors. This document is lengthier. We just took a look at the top, but it is included here below. And again, please do come up with your own words and your own operational definition as part of your learning process. We have a video. There's a transcript included. And this is a chance for you to practice ABC data collection. So you'll see we've got a form collected here for you, and that will help you with the data. Then you'll be able to take a look at the prompt, share your responses. And that's something you'll be able to post, and then provide feedback. So this will give you an example. This is the form, and obviously full day, absent, or partial day won't apply. So not everything on here will be relevant, but you really do want to take a look at each box. Operationally define the target behavior, see what the consequence was for the child. And when it says student reaction, that'll be child reaction. So again, please do not feel you need to fill this whole thing out. This just shows you, I'm looking for the context. What am I seeing as a setting event or a factor that might make this more likely to occur, or the antecedent, the event that brings about the occurrence of the target behavior? What is the target behavior? Operationally identify and define. And then what happens and how does the child react? So that's the structure of this form. This is a document from the Colorado Department of Education that you can review. And you have your journal number 2 coming up. You want to be working on this throughout. This will be due at the end of Unit 6. Don't save it till the end, because this is a reflective opportunity for you, as we're going to be A, identifying your target behavior and defining it, this unit, and then B, collecting data in the next little while here. You're going to be reflecting on it. And so you want to make sure that you're doing that throughout the next several units. And here is our quiz number 2. Once again, there's only one question. Bottom line, I'll give you a hint here. You're going to define operationally your target behavior in this quiz. So that's what's going on here. You want to be detailed. You want to be very clear. You can go off of ideas that you're seeing here, but you really want to make this your own. And this is not just an example target behavior, but you will want to submit the target behavior that you want to choose and observe and record and intervene on for your large FBA BIP project. So this is your chance to submit that. Once you receive approval, you'll be ready to get going with data collection. And that brings us to the end of Unit 4. As always, please reach out to me. I'm happy to meet with you via a video conference and discuss the large FBA BIP assignment or anything related to the course, or we can set a phone appointment. And as always, email or Canvas messaging, best way to get a hold of me. Have a great unit.